So now that Social Security Administration has eliminated the government pension offset and the windfall elimination provision, did you know that? Did you know that they were eliminated? Yes, they were. We've done shows on this in the past. We've done shows on these two provisions in the Social Security Administration, and got a lot of feedback from people over the years on they should get rid of it or they should keep it. But regardless of what you think, they're gone. They're gone. So what do you do now? Let's bring in my co-host, Tony Shore. Tony, welcome to the show. Last time we talked about this, we were together and in the same room.
Yep.
And I announced at that point that it passed one of the chambers, the House, I guess, and it was going to go to the Senate. Well, since that time, it's been approved. It's signed by the president. And government pension offset and windfall elimination provision ended as of December 2023, which means that February 2024 payments should be impacted and everything beyond that. So, yeah, a year ago.
So they eliminated the windfall elimination.
Yes.
This is what you're saying.
And they eliminated the government pension offset.
Wow, well, that's going to be a huge... That's going to be actually a windfall for government workers or teachers who have, like, teachers work regular jobs during the summer months sometimes, or before they got their government pension or teacher's pension, they worked a regular job and earned Social Security, but then got a greatly reduced amount. Is that right? And then now the government's going back 2 years. To 2020, 2024,
January 24. So a
year. So a year plus this year, because I read, Dan, and correct. I don't know if you heard this or if this is correct. I'm going to ask you. I heard there's a chance that it could take up to December of this year to get that back payment. And so
what? It'll take a year?
But you're gonna
take a year.
You're gonna keep getting what we're getting, and sometime this year, between whatever February and December, you're gonna get a lump sum. So if you know anybody who's on that government pension who had reduced Social Security, they're buying next time you go out to eat, because they're gonna get this huge they're gonna get this huge lump sum. And what should they do with that, though, Dan? They need to call you, right?
Well, now you got to start hanging out with the retired firefighters or the retired teachers. You got a whole year. It sounds like you're right. I heard the same. Well, the question I get a lot from people. Well, what am I going to get? How much is this going to increase my Social Security check? Well, I don't have the answer to that. It's dependent upon your work record and your situation with your family, your spouse. It could be $50 a month. It could be $1,000 a month. I don't know, but it's going to happen, and it's going to happen retroactively from January of 2024. Now, you'd always get payments a month later. So it'll be, Social Security pays a month late. So February 2024 payment should be higher. And all the payments since then, which have been 10, 12. So, and yes, by the time this gets figured out, you would get a lump sum to catch up, and then you'll get the new amount going forward. But I don't know what that is. So, but what I want to talk about is the people that are listening that are saying, if you don't like these two provisions being eliminated, it's not that I don't care. I just don't want to hear it, because I have no control over it. But I've had people email and call and say, hey, you're celebrating this and you shouldn't. Or I've had people say, this is about time, thank you for celebrating. I know it is what it is, right? That's the rules. So
people are upset that these people are going to get their full Social Security amount.
Yes. And we could go debate the fairness of the Social Security Fairness Act.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to, because it's done, right?
Yeah.
So now the question is, what do you do? So let's talk about that specifically. If you haven't filed for Social Security yet because you haven't retired, and you were worried, oh my gosh, I have a government pension, but I also worked on the side gig, and I've been putting into Social Security, and I'm not going to get as much, but I haven't filed yet because I've been still working or whatever. Nothing. You don't have to do anything. When you file, you won't be subject to GPO or WEP anymore. So going forward, people that are new to the system don't have to worry. Well, what about the people that are already filed? Or there's a group of people out there, Tony, that did the math and said, it doesn't make sense for me to file because I'm not going to get anything because of the government pension offset or the windfall elimination provision. So they never filed. They could be 68 years old right now saying, I never filed. It didn't bother me because I wasn't going to get anything. The Social Security office told me, don't bother.
But they could file now, right?
Exactly. That's what they should do. Now's the time to file. Mm-hmm. If you thought you were going to be impacted, so you never bothered, or if you're just not sure, you were like, I don't know. Should I file? I don't know. Will I get something? Now, you need to know whether or not you put into Social Security. So if you're a teacher in Florida saying, oh my God, teachers are going to get an extra money because we were offset by government. No, you weren't. But teachers in Michigan or Texas, yeah, right. So you need to know. But if you're not sure, file anyway. Because what's the harm? Right?
Right.
You get in the system. Now there's a backlog. There's you just said it, Tony. I've heard the same. It could take a year to figure this out. But here's what's not going to happen. And I get this call a lot. I get a call from people saying, Hey, Dan, I got divorced years ago, but we were married for 30 years, 10 years, whatever. And he died like 6 years ago. And I didn't know he died. And I didn't know that I was entitled to survivor benefit. I watched your video and you said, which is our popular video, the whole one about people dying.
Survivor benefits. Yeah. Social Security. Yeah. The one about people dying is always very popular. Yes.
But they call and say, I should have been getting a survivor benefit for the past 5 years. Why don't I file? Well, file now. Well, why didn't the Social Security office let me know?
Why didn't the Social Security
office right? I get a giggle out of it, but it makes sense. Like, as an ex-spouse, am I keeping tabs? So how am I supposed to know my ex-spouse died?
God bless Social Security.
Right. They're not going to call you. Just like they're not going to call you if you were subject to GPO and you didn't realize and you never filed. The Social Security office is not going to go through the records and be like, oh, hey, Tony, guess what? You didn't file because you weren't going to get anything, but the new law says you're going to get something now, so you should come file. No chance.
Or we'll automatically sign you up now that you're getting something. That's not going to happen.
No chance that the Social Security office. No. And if they do, it's not going to be for years down the road.
Right. And
I got a call. In fact, Tony, funny story. I got a call yesterday from a client who said they just got a stimulus check from 2021 for COVID.
The COVID stimulus check just showed up.
$1,100 in 2025. So
there was a news article about some people just started getting some checks.
One of my clients didn't know what it was. Didn't know what it was. She's like, "What is this?" And she called up the accountant and talked to me. So don't wait. If you thought you were impacted by this and you didn't file, now's the time. And if you're not sure, do it anyway. Oh, I'm not going to get anything because of government pension. Do it now. Get in the system so that if you are entitled, you'll start getting it. Yeah. Whereas if you just wait for the government to call you up, that's not going to happen.
No. Hey, reiterate for our listeners and viewers out there what GPO and WEP stand for.
Government pension offset. Yep. And windfall elimination provision.
Yep. And I know you touched on that, but I wanted you to say it again.
Bottom line is, if you're in a government position, say you're a teacher in a state that doesn't collect Social Security tax from you, so you're not putting into Social Security, you're not going to get Social Security, right? That makes sense. But if you then retire or do a side job in which you are putting in Social Security, the government pension offset rule would say, well, you don't get Social Security because you got a government pension and you never put into it. And it was unfair, quote unquote, to a lot of people. They've eliminated that. So if you did put into Social Security, even on a side gig, and you put in enough to make a Social Security payment, 10 years, say, you will get that now, even though you weren't entitled to it before. So here's the other thing. What if you're getting a reduction now? You've retired already. You're getting Social Security and it's being reduced because of the government pension offset. And now this rule change, you should be getting a lump sum check for 2024 and however long it takes for them in 2025. What do? What should you do if you are already subject to it and you're like, all right, the law's passed, give me my money? You should just wait. You should wait. Be patient.
Because you're going to get a lump sum, which is going to be great for some people who've been, wanting to take that trip or pay off a credit card. But what you should do with that money is put it into an interest-bearing account, right? Or talk to your financial professional.
I don't know if the government's going to give you back interest for late payment to you. I don't know if that's going to be. That'll be nice if they do. They sometimes do that.
I heard I read they were. Somebody thought it said that they would include back interest, so that's
they
cool.
would, right? But what do? You don't do anything. I wouldn't call up Social Security and say, "Hey, can I get on the list?" Because you're already getting a reduction in your Social Security check, so you're on the list. They know that you're impacted. So once they figure out how they're going to do it, which again could take a year, then you'll receive it.
Their deadline is December 2025. They hope to have it started by February, but they,
okay.
End of the year, end of the year. But there are people out there pretty anxious.
Once my Social Security checks start coming.
Homer Simpson says it best. Here's what you don't do, Tony. Don't pay some consultant, some lawyer, somebody to help you. Oh, call me. I'll get you your GPO and WEP payments back right away. I gotta, give me some money and I will get you that.
That's a scam. Yeah.
Don't do that. Don't do that. By the way, I had a client tell me that they bought a car online and wired money, and it turned out it was a scam. That's a new one. I hadn't heard that one before. It's usually grandson in jail, or getting married, or
the IRS or the IRS, Social Security.
Like the new car thing is a new one for me. But so just don't fall victim to a government pension offset or windfall elimination provision scam. No one's got that. You can't call me up and say, Dan, get me on the short list. No, it's the government. It's the IRS, right? So just be aware of that. Now, one other point I want to make before we wrap this up. A lot of people pay Medicare premiums. We've done shows on Medicare. Watch that. If you pay $185 in 2025, you could pay more with Ann Irma if you have an Ann Irma letter. Medicare premiums come out of your Social Security check. But for some people, they don't get a Social Security check because they're delaying. Or some people, their Social Security check isn't very high because they have government pension offset or windfall elimination provision. So they're excited about, my GPO is going to be gone, so my Social Security will go up, so I don't have to cut payments to cover my Medicare every 3 months, because you pay 3 months at a time. Then I'm going to stop paying my Medicare premiums, so because the government owes me money for my WEP is gone, so my paycheck should go up. Social Security, that should cover Medicare. I'm not going to keep sending that money, so that, because doesn't that make sense? Like, your Medicare is covered by Social Security, so if your Social Security is going up and covers it, you don't have to keep paying. In theory, that makes total sense. But remember, we're dealing with the government. Do not stop your Medicare payments. Let the government figure this out, add to your Social Security check, and then they'll take the Medicare from there, and then you could stop. Because the last thing you want is to say, well, I stopped paying my Medicare because you guys have my check, and you figure out the GPO, WEP, figure it out. They'll say, well, we're trying, but you're not covered by Medicare. You're no longer covered because you missed payment. And you can say, well, I didn't miss payment because you owe me money. That's not going to go over well. You're better off being patient, continuing to pay for Medicare, so you got continuous coverage. And then later, when they figure it out, then you can stop paying for Medicare and have it come out of your Social Security check.
There you go. Yeah, that's always wise. The government takes its sweet time. So until you see that check come and know that it's kicked in, and
Right.
see a check come through that's higher, then yeah.
Right. Don't play that game with the government.
Yeah.
It's just not going to end well. It's not going to end well. I know cash flow and all that, but whatever. So it's going to help people. I think it's over 3 million people. Will it impact you? I don't know. It's gonna
Where's
take
my
some time.
money?
Yeah, where's mine? I don't see. I never worked for the government.
Yeah.
My dad did. My mom did. My mom worked for the IRS. My dad was a high school English teacher, public school. So, but they didn't have government pension offset because they paid into Social Security on any jobs outside, and during their job, they get Social Security and their government pension. My dad does anyway. My mom since passed, but stay alert. Know whether if you have the GPO, don't just forget about it, but don't call up Social Security. You'll waste your time. You could be on there for hours only to be told, well, we're working on it, right? So you'll need some patience on it. But I want to give everyone a quick update on it. It's not great news, but at least we know that it's passed and it's going to happen, just a matter of when.
Only the government would eliminate a windfall elimination.
When you put it that way, yeah, actually, that makes total sense that the government would eliminate a government elimination
Right.
program. All right, Tony, thanks for a good show. We'll catch everyone next week.
All matters discussed in today's show are for informational purposes only.
This show is not investment advice.
Dan Riddle nor Dolphin Financial Group are affiliated or endorsed by any government agency.
Investment advisory services are offered through Dolphin Wealth Management, Inc., a registered investment advisor in the state of Florida.
Insurance products and services are offered through Dolphin Insurance, Inc.
Dolphin Wealth Management, Inc. and Dolphin Insurance, Inc. are affiliated companies doing businesses as Dolphin Financial Group.
You should talk to someone at Dolphin Financial Group before implementing any of these strategies or ideas.